Hope they're not recording in progress.
I hope not too. So, okay, well, we're back. We're
We get to.
the story of
More of the story.
the story of a high car. We're actually gonna finish the story of a high car today. If y'all remember, just kind of giving you a heads up as to where a high car and what's happening here. A high car's nephew, Nadim, basically sabotaged the high car's life in a sense. He lied to the king of Assyria, the king of Egypt, and the king of Ammon. Anyway, and in the process, it gave it the death penalty. Well, a high car knew he was innocent. He managed to
Hide out.
well, you're right. He explained it to the executioner, who believed him and hid out in his own home, underneath everything. The cellar, the dungeon, whatever. He hid out. Well, he when he figured out everything that's going on, he decided to reverse the ruse, and he went to he was told what the Egyptian king had wanted, what Pharaoh wanted, and that was to build a castle in the sky. And so he set about to flip this on its head. Now Pharaoh said, he told Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, "Hey, we're going to build this castle to the sky, but we want you to help pay for it. If you're willing to pay for it, it'll cost about 3 years worth of taxes for you if you're willing to do that." Well, King Sennacherib didn't like that very much, but a high car came up with this idea, and he took these two eagles from birth, I guess, and two young boys, and basically were able to get them to fly up with these boys high enough in the sky, strengthening the eagle's wings. So this is where we're at. A high car has just announced who he is, because Pharaoh thought he was dead too. Pharaoh liked the high car, but he never met him before. So a high car has finally exposed himself as to who he really is. And Pharaoh's response is, if you're really a high car, let's test this out. You should be able to answer my questions. And so that's kind of where we're at today. Okay, so let me go ahead and.
No answer?
No answer.
Okay. Share that.
Or maybe they're at the. I'm gonna text. Which then I'm not getting it.
Okay, so story of a high car, chapter 6. There's only 7 chapters. And a high car went to his dwelling and wrote a letter, saying in it, on this wise, from Sennacherib, king of Assyria, and Nineveh, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So he's writing a letter using Sennacherib's name. Peace be to thee, O my brother, and what we make known to thee by this is that a brother has need of his brother, and kings of each other. And my hope from thee is that thou wouldst lend me 900 talents of gold, for I need it for the victualling of some of the soldiers, that I may spend it upon them. And after a little while, I will send it to thee. So so what Sennacherib is saying, or what a high car is saying under the name of Sennacherib, is saying, "Hey, could you lend me 900 talents of gold, because I need to feed my soldiers." That's what victualling means. And then I'll pay it back here in a little bit. Then he folded the letter and presented it on the morrow to Pharaoh. And when he saw it, he was perplexed and said to him, "Verily, I have never heard anything like this language from anyone." Then High Car said to him, "Truly, this is a debt which thou owest to my lord the king. You asked him for 3 years worth of taxes. You could at least give him 900 pounds gold. You owe him this." Mm-hmm. And Pharaoh accepted this, saying, "O High Car, it is the like of thee who are honest in the service of kings. Blessed be God, who hath made thee perfect in wisdom, and hath adorned thee with philosophy and knowledge. And now, O high car, there remains what we desire from thee, that thou shouldst build us a castle between heaven and earth." Okay, so now now that we've gotten all this settled, I believe you now, and so this is how we're gonna do, this is what I want to do. Then said Hikar, to hear is to obey. I will build thee a castle according to thy wish and choice. But, O my lord, prepare us lime and stone and clay and workmen, and I have skilled builders who will build for thee as thou desirest. So you provide all the materials and workmen, and I've got the skilled person, the contractors, the designers. I've got all that taken care of. Okay. And the king prepared all that for him, and they went to a wide place. And Hikar and his boys came to it, and he took the eagles and the young men with him. And the king and all his nobles went, and the whole city assembled, that they might see what Hikar would do. They're curious how this is going to work, because remember, they didn't get the money. Then Hikar led the eagles out of the boxes and tied the young men on their backs and tied the ropes to the eagles' feet and let them go in the air. And they soared upwards till they remained between heaven and earth. And the boys began to shout, saying, bring bricks, bring clay, that we may build the king's castle, for we are standing idle. We're up here, we're not doing anything. Remember, he had taught them to say that when they got up to that height. And the crowd were astonished and perplexed, and they wondered, and the king and his nobles wondered. And Hikar and his servants began to beat the workmen, and they shouted for the king's troops, saying to them, bring to the skilled workmen what they want, and do not hinder them from their work. And the king said to him, thou art mad. Who can bring anything up to that distance? Hikar said,
with an eagle.
that's what Pharaoh just said. The heck is going on here?
Yeah.
And Hikar said to him, O my lord, how shall we build a castle in the air? And if my lord the king were here, he would have built several castles in a single day. Well, King Sennacherib could do it, is basically what he's telling Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to him, Oh, go, O Hikar, to thy dwelling and rest, for we have given up building the castle, and tomorrow come to me. Yeah, this is a no-go, just go and rest, and then you can see me tomorrow. Then Hikar went to his dwelling, and on the morrow he appeared before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said, O Hikar, what news is there of the horse of thy lord? For when he neighs in the country of Assyria and Nineveh, and our mares hear his voice, they cast their young. It's just talking about the power of Sennacherib. When Sennacherib talks, everybody listens. So kind of thing. And when Hikar heard this speech, he went and took a cat and bound her and began to flog her with a violent flogging till the Egyptians heard it. And they went and told the king about it. And Pharaoh sent to fetch Hikar and said to him, O Hikar, wherefore dost thou flog thus and beat that dumb beast?
Or cat.
And Hikar said to him, O my lord the king, verily she has done an ugly deed to me and has deserved this drubbing and flogging. For my lord King Sennacherib had given me a fine rooster, and he had a strong, true voice and knew the hours of the day and the night. And the cat got up this very night and cut off its head and went away. And because of this deed, I have treated her to this drubbing. And Pharaoh said to him, O Hikar, I see from all this that thou art growing old and art in thy dotage. You're getting senile. For between Egypt and Nineveh, there are 68 parasangs. That's about 220 miles. And how did she go this very night to cut off the head of thy rooster and come back? And Hikar said to him, O my lord, if there was such a distance between Egypt and Nineveh, how could thy mares hear when my lord the king's horse neighs and cast their young? And how could the voice of the horse reach to Egypt? He said, you say this is impossible, but yet when King Sennacherib talks, everybody listens. So how have you not heard about this cat? The kind of thing. He's turning it around on the Pharaoh. King Necho. And when Pharaoh heard, he knew that Hikar had answered his questions. Pharaoh said, O Hikar, I want thee to make me ropes of the sea sand. And Hikar said to him, O my lord the king, order them to bring me a rope out of the treasury that I may make one like it. Then Hikar went to the back of the house and bored holes in the rough shore of the sea and took a handful of sand in his hand, sea sand. And when the sun rose and penetrated into the holes, he spread the sand in the sun till it became as if woven like ropes. Don't know this process, but apparently it's like making fiberglass, kind of. So, because y'all know sand makes glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And Hikar said, command thy servants to take these ropes, and whenever thou desirest it, I will beat thee some like them. And Pharaoh said, O Hikar, we have a millstone here, and it has been broken. I want thee to sew it up. So Pharaoh's going, how'd you do that? Yeah, let's see if you can fix this thing. Then Hikar looked at it and found another stone. And he said to Pharaoh, O my lord, I am a foreigner, and I have no tool for sewing. But I want thee to command thy faithful shoemakers to cut awls from the stone, that I may sew that millstone. Then Pharaoh and all his nobles laughed, and he said, Blessed be the Most High God, who gave thee this wit and knowledge.
All they needed was the stone, right?
Right. You fix it using other stone.
Yeah.
And when Pharaoh saw that Hikar overcome him and returned him his answers, he at once became excited and commanded them to collect for him 3 years' taxes and to bring them to Hikar. So, so instead of getting the taxes from Assyria, he's going to tax his own people. That's where he's going to get the money. And he stripped off his robes and put them on Hikar, his soldiers and his servants, and gave them the expenses of his journey. And he said to him, he is going to go get the money. That's from Assyria. Go in peace, O strength of his Lord and pride of his doctors. Have any of the sultans thy life. Give my greetings to thy Lord King Sennacherib, and say to him how we have sent him gifts. Kings are content with little. Here. Make sure he knows we sent this, because I know he'll think that we're not sending anything. Then Hikar rose and kissed King Pharaoh's hands and kissed the ground in front of him and wished him strength and continuance and abundance in his treasury and said to him, O my Lord, I desire from thee that not one of our country may remain in Egypt. And Pharaoh rose and sent heralds to proclaim in the streets of Egypt that not one of the people of Assyria or Nineveh should remain in the land of Egypt, but that they should go with Hikar. Then Hikar went and took leave of King Pharaoh and journeyed, seeking the land of Assyria and Nineveh, and he had some treasures and a great deal of wealth. And when the news reached King Sennacherib that Hikar was coming, he went out to meet him and rejoiced over him exceedingly with great joy, and embraced him and kissed him, and said to him, Welcome home, O kinsman, my brother Hikar, the strength of my kingdom and pride of my realm. Wow. Ask what thou wouldst have from me, even if thou desirest the half of my kingdom and of my possessions. Then said Hikar unto him, O my lord the king, live forever. Show favor, O my lord the king, to Abu Samik in my stead, for my life was in the hands of God and in his. Abu Samik was the executioner. Then said Sennacherib the king, Honor be to thee, O my beloved Hikar. I will make the station of Abu Samik the swordsman higher than all my privy counselors and my favorites. Then the king began to ask him how he had got on with Pharaoh from his first arrival until he had come away from his presence, and how he had answered all his questions, and how he had received the taxes from him and the changes of raiment and presents. And Sennacherib the king rejoiced with great joy and said to Hikar, Take what thou wouldst fain have of this tribute, for it is all within the grasp of thy hand. And Hikar said, Let the king live forever. I desire naught but the safety of my lord and king, and the continuance of his greatness. O my lord, what can I do with wealth and its like? But if thou wilt show me favor, give me Nathan, my sister's son, that I may recompense him for what he has done to me, and grant me his blood and hold me guiltless of it. So, you know that what I was doing, that I told the truth. He's the one who lied. He needs to be held accountable. And Sennacherib the king said, Take him, I have given him to thee. And Hikar took Nathan, his sister's son, and bound his hands with chains of iron, and took him to his dwelling, and put a heavy fetter on his feet, and tied it with a tight knot. And after binding him thus, he cast him into a dark room beside the retiring place, and appointed Nebuchadnezzar as a sentinel over him, and commanded him to give him a loaf of bread and a little water. To the dungeons, Batman. Chapter 7. And whenever Hikar went in or out, he scolded Nathan, his sister's son, saying to him wisely, O Nathan, my boy, I have done to thee all that is good and kind, and thou hast rewarded me for it with what is ugly and bad and with killing. O my son, it is said in the Proverbs, He who listeneth not with his ear, they will make him listen with the scruff of his neck. Yeah. And Nathan said, For what cause art thou wroth with me? And Hikar, Why are you doing this to me, uncle? And Hikar said to him, Because I brought thee up, and taught thee, and gave thee honor and respect, and made thee great, and reared thee with the best of breeding, and seated thee in my place, that thou mightst be my heir in the world. And thou didst treat me with killing, and didst repay me with my ruin. But the Lord knew that I was wrong, and he saved me from the snare which thou hast set for me. For the Lord healeth the broken hearts, and hindereth the envious and the haughty. O my boy, thou hast been to me like the scorpion, which when it strikes on grass pierces it. O my boy, thou art like the gazelle who was eating the roots of the matter, and it said to her, Eat of me today, and take thy fill, and tomorrow thy will pan thy hide in my roots. O my boy, thou hast been to me like a man who saw his comrade naked in the chilly time of winter, and he took cold water and poured it upon him. Oh, my boy, thou hast been to me like a man who took a stone and threw it up to heaven to stone his Lord with it. The stone did not hit and did not reach high enough, but it became the cause of guilt and sin. Oh, my boy, if thou hast honored me and respected me and hast listened to my words, thou wouldst have been my heir and wouldst have been reigned over my dominions. Oh, my son, I know thou that if the tail of the dog or the pig were 10 cubits long, it would not approach to the worth of a horse, even if it were like silver. Oh, my boy, I thought that thou wouldst have been my heir at my death, and thou, through thy envy and thy insolence, didst desire to kill me. The Lord deliver me from my cunning. Oh, my son, thou hast been to me like a trap which was set up on the dunghill. And there came a sparrow and found the trap set up. And the sparrow said to the trap, what doest thou here? Said the trap, I am praying here to God. And the lark asked it also, what is that piece of wood that thou holdest? Said the trap, that is a young oak tree on which I lean at time of prayer. Said the lark, and what is that thing in thy mouth? Said the trap, that is bread and victuals which I carry for all the hungry and the poor who come near to me. Said the lark, now then may I come forward and eat, for I am hungry. And the trap said to him, come forward. And the lark approached that he might eat. But the trap sprang up and seized the lark by its neck. And the lark answered and said to the trap, if that is thy bread for the hungry, God accepteth not thine alms, not thine deeds. And if that is thy fasting and thy prayers, God accepteth from thee neither thy fast nor thy prayer, and God will not perfect what is good concerning me. What a story he's describing his nephew as a trap, devious. Oh, my boy, thou hast been to me as a lion and made friends with an ass, and the ass kept walking before the lion for a time. And one day the lion sprang upon the ass and ate it up. Oh, my boy, thou hast been to me like a weevil in the wheat, for it does not no good to anything, but spoils the wheat and nozzle. Oh, my boy, thou hast been like a man who sowed 10 measures of wheat, and when it was harvest time, he arose and reaped it and garnered it and threshed it and toiled over it to the very utmost, and it turned out to be 10 measures. And his master said to it, O thou lazy thing, thou hast not grown and thou hast not shrunk. Oh, my boy, thou hast been to me like a partridge that had been thrown into the net, and she could not save herself, but she called out to the partridges that she might cast them with herself into it. Oh, my son, thou hast been to me like the dog that was cold, and it went into the potter's house to get warm. And when it had got warm, it began to bark at them, and they chased it out and beat it, that it might not bite them. Oh, my son, thou hast been to me like the pig who went into the hot bath with people of quality, and when it came out of the hot bath, it saw a filthy hole, and it went down and wallowed in it. These are the things you're like, Nate. You don't learn. You hear, you take it and you apply it to the bad things, but you're still your same old self. Oh, my son, thou hast been to me like the goat which joined its comrades on their way to the sacrifice, and it was unable to save itself. You know you're going to be sacrificed, but yet, hey, let's go. Oh, my boy, the dog which is not fed from its hunting becomes food for flies. Yeah. So if the dogs aren't fed, they die too. Oh, my son, the hand which does not labor and plow, and which is greedy and cunning, shall be cut away from its shoulder. Oh, my son, the eye in which light is not seen, the ravens shall pick at it and pluck it out. Oh, my boy, thou hast been to me like a tree whose branches they were cutting, and it said to them, if something of me were not in your hands, verily you would be unable to cut me. Basically, an axe handle, it's kind of the proverb about the tree being cut down from the wood of another tree, axe handle being made of wood. Mm. Oh, my boy, thou art like the cat to whom they said, leave off thieving till we make for thee a chain of gold and feed thee with sugar and almonds. And she said, I am not forgetful of the craft of my father and my mother. Oh, my son, thou hast been like the serpent riding on a thorn bush when he was in the midst of a river, and a wolf saw them and said, mischief upon mischief. Let him who is more mischievous than they direct both of them. Basically, you've got a sneaky snake on a thorn bush, which causes havoc upon the legs of people, riding down a raging river. That's what he's doing. And the serpent said to the wolf, the lambs and the goats and the sheep which thou hast eaten all thy life, wilt thou return them to their fathers and to their parents, or no? Said the wolf, no. And the serpent said to him, I think that after myself thou art the worst of us. Yeah, well, you can say all you want about us three, but, all those sheep and lambs that you've killed and children that you've killed, can you give them back? No, you're worse than we are. Oh, my boy, I fed thee with good food, and thou didst not feed me with dry bread. Oh, my boy, I gave thee sugared water to drink and good syrup, and thou didst not give me water from the well to drink. Oh, my boy, I taught thee and brought thee up, and thou didst dig a hiding place for me and didst conceal me. Oh, my boy, I brought thee up with the best upbringing and trained thee like a tall cedar, and thou hast twisted and bent me. Oh, my boy, it was my hope concerning thee that thou wouldst build me a fortified castle, that I might be concealed from my enemies in it. And thou didst become to me like one bearing in the depth of the earth. But the Lord took pity on me and delivered me from my enemy. You were going to be my legacy. But yet you took me and you buried me. Oh, my boy, I wish thee well, and now this reward me with evil and hatefulness. And now I would fain tear out thine eyes, and make thee food for dogs, and cut out thy tongue, and take off thy head with the edge of the sword, and recompense thee for thine abominable deeds. And when Nathan heard this speech from his uncle Hicar, he said, Oh, my uncle, deal with me according to thy knowledge, and forgive me my sins. For who is there who has sinned like me, or who is there who forgives like thee? Accept me, O my uncle. Now I will serve in thy house, and groom thy horses, and sweep up the dung of thy cattle, and feed thy sheep. For I am the wicked, and thou art the righteous. I am the guilty, and thou the forgiven. And Hicar said to him, O my boy, thou art like the tree which was fruitless beside the water, and its master was fain to cut it down. And he said to him, Remove me to another place. If I do not bear fruit, cut me down. And its master said to it, Thou being beside the water hast not borne fruit. How shalt thou bear fruit when thou art in another place? Uncle, treat me like a tree that I may not be good here, but put me somewhere where I might thrive. You're in the best of situations now. How are you going to thrive anywhere else? Oh, my boy, the old age of the eagle is better than the youth of the crow. Oh, my boy, they said to the wolf, keep away from the sheep, lest their dust should harm thee. And the wolf said, the dregs of the sheep's milk are good for my eyes. Oh, my boy, it's kind of neat, the dregs of the sheep's milk. Remember, they caught a fish, and it was the gall that helped the eyes of Tobit. Anyway, oh, my boy, they made the wolf go to school that he might learn to read, and they said to him, say A, B. He said, lamb and goat in my belly. You can only think of one thing. Oh, my boy, they set the ass down at the table, and he fell and began to roll himself in the dust. And one said, let him roll himself, for it is his nature. He will not change. Oh, my boy, the saying has been confirmed, which runs, if thou begettest a boy, call him thy son. And if thou rearest a boy, call him thy son. Oh, my boy, he who doeth good shall meet with good, and he who doeth evil shall meet with evil. For the Lord requiteth a man according to the measure of his work. Oh, my boy, what shall I say more to thee than these sayings? For the Lord knoweth what is hidden, and is acquainted with the mysteries and the secrets. And he will requite thee, and will judge betwixt me and thee, and will recompense thee according to thy debt. And when Nathan heard that speech from his uncle Hicar, he swelled up immediately and became like a blown out bladder. And his leg, this is horrible, guys. And his limbs swelled, and his legs, and his feet, and his side, and he was torn, and his belly burst asunder, and his entrails were scattered, and he perished and died. And his latter end was destruction, and he went to hell. For he who digs a pit for his brother shall fall into it, and he who sets up traps shall be caught in them. This is what happened and what we found about the tale of Hicar. And praise be to God forever. Amen and peace. This chronicle is finished with the help of God. May he be exalted. Amen. So, what y'all think?
It was a good story.
Pretty good short story there. Yeah. You read it in one sitting. Of course, reading it out loud takes a little bit longer. But apparently several weeks. But yeah, I'm glad we were able to get that, and those last couple of verses, of course, that explained. Now, what I didn't include for y'all, when if you were to look it up online, you'll see that there's several paragraphs of intro stuff to tell you what they were doing and that kind of thing. So these last few verses kind of tell you that they were of the same intrigue. About this story of a high card. Well, they read Tobit or whatever, and what's this story he's talking about? So they did their research. This is what they found. So they're writing it way after the thing, and they're putting it in their own word. This is what happened. Such. By the way, we know based on some of the words that were used, like that phrase parasang. We saw that rooster was 68 parasangs away. That's an Iranian word. So we know it was written somewhere in the area of Babylon, somewhere. Okay, so several years, many years later. A parasang is about 3 to 3.5 months. 68 would make about 220 somewhere miles. Okay, so next week we're getting to the end of Zephaniah, who's still a prophet in the area. The wickedness of, he's prophesying on the wickedness of Jerusalem and the punishment and conversion of the nations, but he ends with a song of joy. Then we're back into the narrative, 2 Kings, 2 Chronicles. First Esdras is also known as First Ezra. It copies these other two, adds a couple of minor details. The wording's a little different, but it's the same stuff. And first and second Esdras are also apocryphal. They talk about the end of Josiah's reign. Remember, he was the last good king. He was defeated by Pharaoh Necho, and Josiah dies in battle. And there's a lot of similarities to another king, but we'll get into that. And then we'll start back into Jeremiah, who's still preaching. Jeremiah is going to be one of the final prophets before Judah goes into exile, before the Babylonians attack. So he's going to.
Pharaoh Necho was the Egyptian leader that was talked about in the book we just read.
Yeah.
And Haikar and his nephew were supposed to be Jewish.
It's never said that, but the names are kind of Jewish. So, Nadab, I can't remember the other nephew's name. But yeah, a Haikar, but you notice it was changed to Haikar, which would be a Persian spelling, Arab spelling.
So maybe it was Arab to start with and then changed to Haikar.
Jewish. Remember that the Assyrian, my guess is that they're Assyrian. It's just my guess, because the Assyrians really didn't promote people they conquered. They would conquer them and then spread them out. They'd send them to different places. And because he's so close to Sennacherib, he's living in the capital, in Nineveh. He's living there. And so odds are he's Assyrian, would be my guess. Maybe he came from a lower caste family and made his way up the chain kind of thing, but that would be my guess. And apparently the Assyrians also would take some of their unworthy people or their criminals or something, and they would treat them like people they conquered, and they would separate them. Hence the name, hence a Haikar asking Necho, hey, one other thing I'd ask is that all of our people come back with me, that none of them are here. Thinking that maybe Assyria sent them there. Assyria was the powerhouse. It's believed that Necho, they may have had some kind of treaty, but Egypt knew that Assyria would defeat them. The thing is, that starts to happen when the Babylonians rise up. So that never really comes to fruition. The Babylonians end up conquering. Anyway, Jeremiah is going to issue a judgment on Philistines and a judgment on Moab. So that's kind of how a Haikar ends. That was fun. Any other questions, concerns, criticisms, complaints? If you haven't signed up for a short, a small group meal with Townsend's, please do that. We had fun on Thursday. Had There were 7 of us there. We had, what do we have? I'm making all these meals, so, we started off with, caprese bruschetta. Then we had a salad course. Then the main entree was, peach and balsamic glazed pork tenderloin. With mashed potatoes, with garlic mashed potatoes. And then for dessert, we had, for dessert, banana split fluff.
Wow,
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh,
gourmet.
I had fun making it. And, the only thing I didn't do was make that glaze. Karen mixed that up for me, because she's the perfecter of that. And we had the rest of the mashed potatoes, and I sprinkled some of that glaze on the leftovers, on the mashed potatoes last night. Ooh, that's good.
Bet.
Not bad.
Anyway, so yeah, this Sunday we've got another, or not today, next Sunday, we've got another coming in, and we're having hot roast. I haven't decided what the size is really at. But kind
Carrots and potatoes.
of, well, that'll be carrots and potatoes and onion.
Good.
That cook with the roast.
But yeah, I don't know, for those who have signed up for later ones, I don't know what I'm making.
Yeah.
Haven't got all that down.
I'm gonna text Nancy.
Oh, good. I don't have her number.
Yeah.
Nobody responded to my text and nobody answered the phone on my phone.
Well, good night,
Nancy
everybody,
probably knows.
or good night. Goodbye. See y'all next week.
Good night and goodbye.